Now, I know I've said this before, but we have a very special episode here for you today. My friend Shawnie Whitaker is here in studio with me. This is a man who's had to overcome an immense amount in his life, and today he's going to be able to share some of those stories with you. Shawnie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Patrick, man, thank you so very much for having me. I'm honored to be here. You're a superstar, man. I love you, kid.
I know, and that love that you have for people, we're definitely going to talk about. But let's just take the elephant out of the room right now, okay? Your company, your local alarm dealer, a leg up on the competition. Where do you find a saying like that? Fill us in here a little bit.
Well, back in 1989, I was involved in a car accident where I lost half my leg. I was 16 years of age, going to the beach early one morning to go surfing, and all of a sudden, then lights went out, dark. I was in coma 28 days, hospital 3.5 months, took out my spleen, some liver up, broke my femur bone in half. I went from 135 down to 18 pounds in ICU as far as weight, and they gave me less than a 5% chance of living. So I was my doctor's first amputee.
Wow.
Pretty crazy, He did a great job, Dr. Richards. And through the grace of God, through my friends and family, supporting me, loving me, I was sad. I was 16 years of age.
What's it like at 16 years old to go, now you don't have a leg or half of a leg? What was that like?
It was scary. I woke on up after being in a coma 28 days. And I woke on up, I felt pressure in my leg, and what's going on? And they told me that I got car accidents, And I'm like, wow. And all of a sudden, the crazy thing is, the first thought that I went through, I thought to myself, is like, what girl is going to one date me with one leg? Because when you say a prosthetic, right? Back in 1989, that wasn't a common word, like, it's prosthetic, it's a fake leg. What's a fake leg mean, You lost your leg. I'm like, what? And so I'm thinking, what girl is going to want to date me?
Little did you know, there's probably some girls out there who really love that one leg thing.
It's crazy.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure, but I got myself a beautiful woman. Her name is Zaidi.
Uh-huh.
She's 40 years of age. She's the ultimate mother, and she's from Venezuela, and she likes Shawnie Whitaker with one-legged man.
There you go, man. I love that.
She says that, Shawnie, I like walking around with you. Because people they look at you like kind of strange,
Oh, yeah.
And you walk proud, and it makes me feel proud. I'm like, thanks, Heidi. So, yeah, so it's amazing, A woman who loves a man one leg. Hard to find, but when you find them, keep them, right?
I think it's great.
Yes.
Now, I want to go back, though. You're 16 now, and you don't have this leg. The next 10 years of your life are extremely challenging. Not to mention the years of your life leading up to that. I mean, it's just, if you took away the leg situation, I think that the story that you have that we've talked about off camera is still extremely impactful to young men and women who have had life throw them some really curveballs out there.
Sure.
Tell me more about your life growing up. Besides the leg, what was it like home? What was it like, what did you have to overcome in terms of your upbringing?
Yeah, well, gets emotional. I come from a family, like all families, all messed up. We're all deranged, to a degree. I grew up very poor. We lived in a small house with wall units, and my mom was a CNA, making like $7 an hour. My stepfather, who raised me most of the time, was a drywall man, so money didn't come easily. My mother left my real father while she was pregnant with me. And so I just remember growing up in Florida with my stepfather, my mom, brother and sister, right? They smoked. I remember being a little kid. I'd go to school, smell like smoke.
Cigarettes, yeah.
Oh, man, I was so embarrassed,
Mm-hmm.
But it's, even though we didn't have much, we had it all. My mom and my stepfather were the most givingest, lovingest. They were broke, but they were free.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so my stepfather was a giver, a lover, helper, high fiver. He was that guy. You see, at least when you see me, you see my stepfather, Paul, and he's just an amazing man that showed us that life's all about love, helping, supporting, giving people. And I said, for today, my mom left my father while she was pregnant with me. And all of a sudden she met my stepfather. They moved to Florida. Then all of a sudden in 5th grade, my real father got remarried to Eileen, had 3 kids. Well, they're getting evicted out in California. And my stepfather told my real father, stepmom, 3 kids, come stay with us in our 900 square house to get back on your feet. And all of a sudden, they moved to Florida, Castleberry. And all of a sudden, we had both moms, both dads, 6 kids in one house. And all of a sudden, it happened for the rest of my father's days, where my real father passed away back in 1987 in my stepfather's house.
Wow.
So my stepfather would, his name's Paul, would take care of my real father, take care of my stepmom, 3 kids. And my real father was an addict, so he wasn't the best as being a provider. But my stepfather loved on me anyways, And also I remember my stepfather would drive my real father to the hospital. And all of a sudden, like, where's Paul at? Oh, he's at the hospital with your dad, just hanging out talking. I'm like, wow. And so my father passed away back in 1987. And all of a sudden, my stepfather, my mom, paid and financed his funeral for a year and a half.
Gosh.
Who does it, right? Then fast forward a year and a half later, my real father's brother, Uncle Jim, lost his leg, lost his job in California. And my stepfather told my real father's brother, come stay with us, back your feet. And so my stepfather was the ultimate giver, the ultimate savior, And so I look at my characteristics and who I am as a person, I married my stepfather, And it was even crazier is that 20 years later, my stepfather passed away on April 8th, and we buried my stepfather on my real father's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, right? Yep.
That right there has got to be a TV show that was waiting to happen.
Beautiful story, right?
It's a beautiful story about your stepfather, Paul, what you said was his name.
Yes.
And sounds like a wonderful man.
Yes.
But it wasn't all roses for you at home.
No.
There was a lot of negativity, and there was a narrative that was being built within you. Can you talk about some of the times that maybe weren't as glamorous there?
Even though my family was broken, and we weren't rich at all, we barely made it we barely made the bills, like I had a life that just was always this love. I've never had hardness, I don't think, Like my stepfather, my mom, my real father, and my stepmom, they'd always come watch my football games, baseball games, basketball games, and all I know is love. Like when you think about struggle, you think about abandonment, like whatever I lost with my real father, my stepfather gave me that tenfold, and my mom. And so in my house, high five, let's eat some food, smack on the butt, you're amazing, I love you. My friends came on over, my friends, their kids, it's so when you sit there and it's so ironic that think about this. You asked me about the hard times. So yeah, I was embarrassed because they smoked. I remember my first 5th grade birthday party was at my duplex. And I remember sitting on top of my roof at my duplex, and all my friends lived in Lake Howe, Deer Run, and nice houses, nice cars. And all of a sudden, they walked to my duplex, small duplex, smoke, furniture and match, and I'm sitting there on top of the roof. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. Like, golly. All of a sudden, then we fast forward. When I was like 26 years of age, I was building a house. It was worth about $550 out there in Oviedo. And I went through a class with a holistic doctor. I went back and looked at, when I was a little kid, at the duplex. And all of a sudden, now I'm actually at this house over here, big house, successful. And all of a sudden, in my mind's eye, I heard my stepfather saying, Shawnie, you did it. All of a sudden, and so my whole thing growing up is that to be bigger, to want bigger, to break family curses, alcohol, drugs, divorce, poverty, take away, And so when you sit there and you ask me the hard times of growing up, Patrick, man, if I can really reach down deep in my heart and think of any bad times, I can't.
Okay, well, I mean, let's turn the attention away from just the family then, because I know let's turn outside the family
Sure.
then a little bit, because, you know, some of the stuff that you had to deal with from a sexual nature, I think, led to some hardships later on in life.
Sure.
So if we turn our attention away from the family that tried to show love but didn't have a lot, and I
Right,
understand that.
Right.
What do you think were some of the things that really separated, I guess, that mentally were trying for you or harder on you outside of your leg as you were growing up?
Yeah, well, I remember I was like in, I think, 4th grade. I got molested by this gentleman who was the milkman for TG Lee. And all of a sudden that was pretty traumatic, you know. I remember getting molested up in the cooler truck, you know. And the guy's like, "You like that?" I'm like, I gotta go. My mom's looking for me. I remember going across the street, and that's when my father just moved on in with my stepfather and my mom when I was, you know. And I remember back in 4th grade, I remember running across the street from Shop and Go store.
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, if I tell P.I. or my father, I know Will, the milkman's dead. And so I said nothing. So then, fast forward, in 7th grade, we found out Will got arrested for molesting other kids, you know. And I felt guilt, all this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And through counseling, I realized it's not my fault. I just did the best I can. But to be in a 4th grader and know that, that if I told my parents what just happened, as a 4th grader, to know that he'd be dead, pretty traumatic, I think, you know.
Very.
As a young kid, you know. And so when I look back now at that, I mean, I forgive myself because, you know, I just didn't say anything. I didn't want no one to get in trouble, you know. But yeah, that was very traumatic. But you know, this
No, that's great.
and the only thing I struggled about was not being enough.
Yeah.
As a little kid, because I didn't have enough, you know. Instead of getting a nice bikes or nice surfboards, you know, I had me kind of like secondhand bikes and surfboards and skateboards, you know. And as a little kid, come be like my friend Cece, my friend Scotty, you know, all that nice stuff. But as I get older, at 51 years of age now, you know, I look back, man, even though I didn't have that much, we had it all, you know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I just think just with the social media and, like, all you see, if you don't got this, you're nothing.
Yes.
And so a lot of people don't feel like they're enough. And I know, like, even like the statistics that people look at other people's websites or Facebooks, you know, they got 5,000 friends, and they got, and all of a sudden this guy over here has 400. Like, God, why does Shawnie have 5,000 friends? I got 400. So in your brain's like, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. All this self minutia talk in your brain, and all of a sudden, then with the social media out there now, you know, I mean, can you imagine having social media back when we grew up?
No.
God, I'd be dead.
I would do.
I mean, I'd be scared. I'd be dead. I'd be arrested. But and so now we want to have the world. I've heard. My philosophy is this: as you get older, less is more. You see these people, all these millions, whatever, they're miserable. They don't trust people. They're insecure. They're multi-gazillionaires, you know. It goes back to the Bible, Solomon. Solomon had it all. He had the riches. He had the money. He had the land. He had the women. He had it all. But even though he had it all, he had nothing. Chasing the wind, you know. And so, I think that unfortunately, just with society and social media always polluting your brain, that you think you have to have more. And the people I know that have less, I'm more happy.
I heard a statistic the other day that was very scary, that now in America, the number one killer of children, ages, I'm going to say that, children 18 at that point, but let's say young men and women, 18 to 24, is suicide. That is the number one killer of people 18 to 24 years old in this country. And when you think about that, you have to think, what is the common denominator among those kids? It's not socioeconomic class. It's not the fact that they don't have access to technology or good food anymore. I believe that that stuff is available in most areas. What I do believe the common denominator is access through a smartphone to social media, and that these individuals are living a life constantly that's not enough. And I can look back to what you just said right there, Shawnie, about if I would have had a cell phone in high school and I would have been sitting there in the same tennis shoes I wore every day. I had 3 pairs of shorts and maybe a pair of jeans, and I just rotated them with a couple shirts, and that was it. And you have me looking at my cell phone, and I'm seeing somebody in Dubai who's 20 years old, and I'm sitting there in my English class right there and can barely afford to pay for lunch. You don't think I'm going to feel less than? Of course I am.
Absolutely.
And even though you get older and wiser and you talk about less being more, and I agree with you in a lot of ways because it simplifies life and allows you to focus on the things that actually mean something. You rewind back to high school, and I still, knowing what I know right now, I don't know if I'd still be able to handle that kind of social pressure that I have to see every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Second.
Yeah.
I spoke to some today, a friend of mine today, about when they take their phone from their son, he gets the jitters. Is that crazy? Is that crazy?
I believe it.
Well, you know how even with you and I, we lose our phone. Like, oh, what's going on? You know.
Yeah.
But for a 12-year-old kid to get jitters because they don't got their phone, access to the phone, like because the mom took it away or dad, like it's a withdrawal. It's the identity, you know. And so, but you said it. All this social media makes you believe that you aren't enough. Which is the biggest lie from the devil. All of a sudden, when you sit there, I'm not enough. You shrink, you get small. You don't fulfill your life, you know. And I think that in days this, like if you sit there, turn off TV, took back some social media, you know, like do you know how better you'd feel?
Yeah.
But it's called self-love, right? Self-love is living thyself, right? And all of a sudden, working out, eating good, right? Who does that? I've lost. I think I looked like a month ago. I lost 3 friends past 2 weeks. I lost 23 people in the past year and a half.
Oh my God.
Like I said, and I lost some friends of mine suicide. 3 of them suicide. You know, family, kids. You know, not feeling enough, and bam, suicide.
Growing up, we all believe that it's better to give than to receive, right? And you think you grow up at Christmas time and everyone says that, oh, I want to give gifts instead of receiving them. You flip that on its head. Better to receive than to give. Can you explain that to the audience?
Well, it's something I learned, you know, and even though I'm like I teach it.
Yes.
I'm still the biggest student, you know.
Well, tell me about it.
I asked you a question. I'm like, Patrick, let me ask you a question. Is it better to give or receive?
It's better to give, man.
Okay, well, most people say better to give. They're BDs. What's BDs?
What's that?
Broke dicks.
Okay.
Okay. Now, why do you give?
Because I feel good. Feel good.
Okay, so and
Yeah.
the Bible says that you give, you receive.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
So on top of being a BD, okay, you're selfish. Okay, are we supposed to give to feel good or glorify God? Are we supposed to sit there and feel good to receive or glorify God, right? Well, my thing is this, is that in the Bible says, don't let them know whether I gave. The reason you give, Patrick, is, hey, you give me a phone, Patrick, I love you the best, you know. And I'm not saying you're not supposed to give, but the reason people give because, hey, they want the affirmations, you know. So can you imagine giving with an open heart and let no one know? That'd be tough, right?
Yes.
That'd be tough. So my thing is that even the Bible says, love thy God, love thyself, love your neighbor, right? And so my thing is, like, why not? But as human beings, we love God as best possible, the neighbor first, and we're in the back seat. We're trying to be baby Jesus, trying to save the world, you know? And I realized that, you know what? I'm not Jesus. We can't save the world. So my thing is that when you start loving thyself and start receiving, eating good, if you want to bless me today with some lunch, you know what I'm saying? You pray for yourself, you know? We pray for everyone else, right? But we never pray for ourselves. What the freak, you know? So my thing is that when you start receiving, man, then you're blessed to give a little more. But in the days, it's hard to receive.
So why is it why is that the case, Shawnie? Why do I don't like to receive?
Yeah.
For somebody, like, I'll give you an example. Even if I'm walking in the gym later today and someone opens the door for me, I feel awkward. Why are you doing this for me? I feel I'll get it. You know, you were nice enough to buy lunch for me today. I felt awkward. Why? I feel awkward. I'll accept it. It was a nice gesture.
Sure,
It was
right.
one thank you, but at the same time, I feel awkward. I don't like it. What is it about people right now that we don't like to receive? It makes us feel bad in some ways, I think, for a lot of individuals out there.
Well, I believe that we can't receive because we don't think we're enough.
Ooh.
Oof, oof.
Unpack that one for me.
Where it's like why? Like, for example, like I had my accident. The community came together and raised over $36,000 for me and my family. And we didn't have any good insurance, you know, and legs were expensive, you know. And so, like it's like why me? Like, first of all, what they did for me back in my accident, you know, the surf community, my family, like, you don't ever see that. I mean, you do now because social media, because, you know, GoFundMe, you know. But to sit there and to raise and have a foundation and raise money and have, it's a lot of work, first of all, you know.
Sure.
But then we feel bad because Shawnie don't got a lot of money. He can't pay for lunch, you know. But my thing is, why is it hard to receive? I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to break down that emotion that I would feel during that time. Like today, let's just use a most current example. You buy lunch for me, and I feel like maybe it's this. As I'm thinking about it right here, I feel like I deserve, in some ways, to have the hardest life possible. Let me give you an example of this. Even if someone tries to take away a little bit of that pain from me, I feel like that life that I have right now, it's my burden to carry. And so it's my burden to carry lunch. It's my burden to carry a company. It's my burden to do those things. And anybody who tries to take that away from me, I feel like you're taking away a little of my purpose and who I am. And so I hold on to it because my purpose is in doing those things for other people and doing them for myself.
Sure.
And it becomes very hard to feel unburdened, you know, because I feel as though I deserve in some way the pain, the strife, the burden of it. And that's the sick part of it more than anything.
Oh, so true, though.
I'm just trying to dissect that right now in my head.
Well, for me, like I got a good friend of mine who's married, and I know her very well. And I watched her grow up. I was a little kid, right? And she came from a family of distress and screaming, yelling, you know. So her marriage, right? Hanging out, her and her husband, and she pokes her husband in the throat, right? He's like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Well, I'm just playing around." He's like, "Why?" And I was thinking, getting a big fight. So this person needs chaos. Know why? All she ever saw growing up was chaos. Her DNA is chaos, and if it's not chaos, she's not living. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, we or you trying to say, "Listen, I'm a man. I don't need your free lunch," you know, because we're kind of like too prideful, right? Too prideful, yeah. And so the thing about this is like, and it's hard for me now. I say no. Now I receive. And so it's so funny. Watch this. Let me show you how deep it goes. Ready? Repeat after me. Say, Shawnie, it is better to give than receive.
It is better to give than to receive.
Look at you. Smile, right?
Sure.
Shawnie,
it
is better to receive than give.
Shawnie is better to receive than to give.
Welcome to the smile, buddy.
Right.
You saying? Did you feel it, though? When you say receive, it felt kind of weird, right? But it's weird, right?
Yes.
And so I think that I believe that God put that in my heart to remind people. My stepfather was the giver beyond givers. He got hit 3 times in 1 year, car accidents, you know?
Yeah.
Side, back, it's all messing up. He couldn't hang the drive no more. And I remember he had a little spot on the corner of 415 and 44 selling fruits. So I'm going to the beach. I see, "What's up, P.I.? What's up?" And his name's, we call him P.I. his nickname. But what's up, Dad or Paul? So I thought much, selling some fruits. And all of a sudden, black little folk lady walking up in a big old car with 6 grandkids. Gets on out. And my stepfather was, "What's up, madam? How you doing? You doing all right, beautiful?" "Oh, yeah, I'm doing good." Also, the guys, the kids, well, then she gets a box of fruit.
Okay.
And my stepfather was like, "You want? That's all you getting?" She says, "Yeah, mine's kind of tight." So Paul gets a big box, fills it on up, and gives it to her. I'm like, "What the freak?" Like, who does that, right? Like, he's the worst business owner, but he tried to save the world. And I think we're all trying to save the world, And for me, because it feels good. Thanks, Shawnie, you're awesome. Like, I sit there, and we help this guy the other day get a leg through my practitioner who makes my legs. And it's kind of weird because, like, I'm a messenger. I'm a connector, right? And all of a sudden, Stan Patterson was a practitioner at POA called Prosthetics and Orthotics Orlando. And I connected one of my good friend's nephews who got in car accidents, almost hit dead, almost dead. And all of a sudden, I connected my doctor with him, right? And all of a sudden, he was like, "Shawnie, you're an angel. Shawnie, you're the best." I'm like, oh. And it feels good, right? But I'm just a connector, and it feels weird. People saying, "You're the best." Like, it's not me, yet giving them legs, It's my practitioner, Stan, and it's all POA, But in the days, this is that, as human beings, like, if I don't go out there and touch my boy Chris and kind of force him over here to get a new leg, which is hard for him to receive a new leg, But we did, and here's a guy walking away on Monday. His life has changed forever now, forever. You know what I'm saying? And so, so I say that to say this, and I get my Facebook post, "You're the best." I'm like, oh, and I'm like, phew, I'm not the best, I'm beyond broken. You know what I'm saying? But so it's but it feels weird. Hear those compliments,
Yes.
And all of a sudden, like, and it's not me, it's my doctor, and that's why I want to get that movement, because I want to be a source of help with my practitioner doctor,
Yes.
So fix it on. But yeah, so just it's interesting, but to receive and say no. Hard to say no is hard too, isn't it?
Very difficult.
You put up to 436, 72, homeless guy, you look in your pocket, you only got a 50 and 100. Here's a 50, you're saying, right? Because we can't say no.
It's been interesting for me with that. So in my life, I can count on one hand, on one finger, the number of times I've given to the homeless on the street.
Really?
Okay? Yes. So it's very interesting the one time that it happened. It was in 2017. I'll never forget the day.
Right.
It was on Lake Mary Boulevard, all right? And a guy, I was leaving, and I remember it was a Saturday morning, and I was going to EDC that afternoon, the festival here in Orlando.
Yeah.
So I was going to do drugs and get drunk and have myself a great time for 2 days. And I was there picking up a fanny pack at Play It Again Dick's Sporting Goods or something, because that was going to be where all my stuff went, because I was going to have a shirt on and neon, and it was going to be crazy. As I'm driving out, I'm pissed off because one of my friends was going to be late to the pre-party that we were having that morning to go out there and get drunk that evening. As I come to the stoplight to get out of there onto Lake Mary Boulevard, there is a homeless individual in a full, I could say, military uniform, and standing on one leg, saluting the people who went by, holding a sign. And that sign told the truth. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm trying to make it right. I got nothing. Anything will help. And I thought about rolling down my window because I saw somebody do it in front of me. And it's a quick light. It's important here. Right. They rolled down their window to hand him money, and he hopped over to get the money. And I thought, what a dick I'm going to be if I roll my window down, like, here, come get my money. And this guy's got to hop 20 yards to come get a couple bucks from me. What kind of jerk am I? It was a real opener, so I tooled a U-turn. I come back over, and I parked my car, and I just ran up to the guy. I'm like, there's no way, man, I'm making you hop your way to get this money, okay? You deserve it. Here's what I got on me right now. Here you go. And I just told him, thank you, man. What a great reminder you gave me about priorities and perspective in life today. And I don't know what happened to that gentleman, but I do believe that it gave me a lot of perspective in looking at that moment for the homeless. But that was the only time, for some reason, that I felt compelled at that moment. Maybe it's because what I was thinking in my mind, and then I saw real problems in front of me when I was faced with them. Right. I said, man, your problems ain't that bad, Pat. you'd wish for those problems if you were that man right there. He would love to have your problems right now. It was a great reminder to me.
Yeah, so I'm actually creating, as we speak right now, a foundation called the Get Up Movement.
Okay.
And the Get Up Movement is a foundation that, it's powerful.
Tell me.
I got maxed when I was a sophomore, and I started wrestling in high school on one leg. And all of a sudden, I think I won 18 or 20 matches on JV, and I was 1-for-1 on varsity, right, for wrestling on one leg. Well, a guy named Bill Gore was a wrestler, headbanger, Metallica, great guy, right? And he was my same grade. And all of a sudden, I always wrestling up, and I always beat him, right? So then all of a sudden, our senior year, we started doing summer camps, before our senior year of wrestling. And all of a sudden, we had a tournament over at Oviedo High School.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Bill saw my name in his bracket. I was wrestling him. But what it was, fast, come back up, I'm too fast, was that Bill lost his son through an accident by about 6 years ago, and lost his baby son named Hunter. And all of a sudden, I guess he got some money from the lawsuit and got a house. And all of a sudden, I do home security. Someone over there do home security, and I open the door, and he starts crying. I start crying, and we hug because he's lost his son. Well, then all of a sudden, we're crying. I'm so sorry, crying. Me cry. Bill, cry, man. I'm crying too. And all of a sudden, we're hanging out, we're talking. He says, Shawnie, I want you to know you saved my life. I'm like, what? I say, Shawnie, I tried to commit suicide, OD, drink myself to death, because I lose my son. But one day I was trying to hurt myself, commit suicide. I heard these words, get up, Bill, get up, Bill. And all of a sudden I think about you, Shawnie Whitaker, back when we were wrestling our senior year, Oviedo High School, and you took me down. And all of a sudden it said, pinning me. I got back on up and said, get up, Bill, get up, Bill. And all of a sudden I got up, and I didn't beat you, but you didn't pin me or stick me, and all of a sudden when I was trying to hurt myself that last time, I heard your words. I'm like, wow. So I'm just like beyond crying, like, wow. He's like, so thank you, Shawnie. I'm like, oh. So we high-fived, we hugged, Then 8 months later, I'm in a funk. I'm laying in my bed. And all of a sudden I hear the words from Hunter. I imagine Hunter, Bill's son, passed away, saying, Shawnie, get up. So I sat there, put on my running leg, my blade. So I'm going to run a 5K for Hunter this morning. So I sat there and I ran. I'm not going to stop. Then my 5K looked out, 5K. I ran probably about 8 months, on my blade. And all of a sudden I'm going backstrip this run to my house. I'm almost dying. All of a sudden I go to my back porch. I tell the story. How words are so powerful. How words close to 30 years ago saved my boy Bill's life.
Yeah.
And how 8 months later, those words of get up, me envisioning like Hunter saying to me from heaven, got me up, And so therefore, the get up movement is a thing where as I sit there and I do alarms, a portion of my proceeds will go to get up movement and help people get fake legs. So my leg, I'm a below the knee amputee. Guess how much it costs?
I know the answer to this,
Yeah.
but I would have guessed somewhere around $10,000.
Well, below the knee, $36.
How much?
$36,000.
$36,000
Yep.
for
a leg retail. Above the knee, over close to $100,000.
How does someone afford? Does insurance pay for that?
Insurance for it, or they can't afford a leg, or B, they got to pay out of pockets. It's hard to get legs. And so all of a sudden to find a good practitioner, that's a whole different story.
Shawnie, I can't let you just get past because I think our viewers need to understand this. What you just said is so sad.
Yes.
It's hard to get legs in this country. That's insane.
Sure.
But that's a reality that people face, right?
Yes, sir.
How many people, in your experience, are we talking thousands of people that are going through this right now?
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people.
Hundreds?
Oh, sure. I know for me, I walk in a Publix or I'm walking at a Walmart's.
Yeah.
I see a guy on one leg. Him and his family, what's up? I like your leg.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. He's like, who are you? I show him my fake leg. So what's going on here? He's like, oh, what? I'm like, where's your leg at? Well, I don't have insurance. I can't get a leg. I'm like, wow. And there's organizations out there now, like 50 Legs. Steve Chamberlain was a wrestler with Hulk Hogan. He lost his leg in car accident, and now he has a thing called 50 Legs, where he actually gets free legs for people who can't afford prosthetics. It's amazing. And because of that foundation that Steve's have created and encouraged me, because I'm a people person. I love people, and I see people that don't have legs, and I'm like, oh. Or if they got legs, it's a junk leg, because a lot of doctors are like revolving doors, in and out, compared to my practitioner over here, Stan Patterson, POA. You don't leave the legs perfect. Crazy. All of a sudden, so for me, the foundation I'm creating right now is going to be a foundation where I help people get free legs. And you can't walk, And so taking my accident from losing my leg to creating a company called Your Local Arm Dealer, where I get you one leg and bad guy. They're creating a market company called Market Outside the Box, where I get you one leg in competition. To creating a foundation that can help people walk in and change their lives is, to me, is a blessing.
What I really like about this Get Up movement that you're starting here is that the double meaning to the actual name. It's a really beautiful thing. Nice job on the marketing side. I mean, obviously the get up side, when you have a leg, you can get up off the ground, you can do the things and walk and be productive and all that stuff. Great. But then as well, story you just told me about this guy who hears these words, and you hear those words years later that saves a life perhaps. And you don't know the impact sometimes that your words are going to have on somebody. I always think it's funny the things that I remember in life years later that I thought were just going to be things that went one ear and out the other. And for some godforsaken reason, they stick with you. And I'm not sure what spirit there is or some bigger power, but obviously whatever you said that day in that wrestling match was meant to be said in some level, or that he wouldn't have remembered that. You had to say it, he had to remember it, and then years down the road, it had to be remembered again. That's powerful stuff.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years later. Just, it's crazy. The brain, there's got to be something that it holds on to those words for some reason.
I think it's called hope.
Hope, yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah,
and that's why I heard the other day from a guy, named Todd, was a mess. And all of a sudden, then alcohol and drugs, and all of a sudden, now he's a pastor, and he's actually a white little guy who sings rap pastor song, which is crazy, right? And all of a sudden, and now. I paddled out last weekend to go surfing. Saw him, his wife who's pregnant, who surfs, surfing on the water. And all of a sudden, and I'm like, man, Todd is doing so good. He's like, I know. He always says it, Shawnie. He's like, my mess becomes my message. I'm like, wow, right? Here's a guy just about to be a father, baby girl, first one ever. Close to 50 years of age, It's amazing where I believe. It's amazing. I don't know, to me, it's amazing, I believe, how life always works out perfectly,
I like the saying, what you just remind me of, that you're most capable of helping the person that you used to be. And so if you used to be a drug addict and you're not anymore, you're capable of handling and helping drug addicts because you understand and empathize their emotion.
Absolutely.
You've been there. And perhaps what you're going through right now is preparing you to help that person that you are now 20 years down the road. Because I can't help somebody addicted to heroin.
Right.
I've never been addicted to heroin. I probably could, but not the same way somebody who could understand that feeling can.
Right.
Whether it be sex or porn addiction, or whether it be something that a man goes through with infidelity. If you think whatever it is you believe disqualifies you from helping people, it's probably the thing that can help people the most.
Listen, you can't say better. Absolutely. That's where you make a mark. That's where you make a footprint in someone's life, someone's heart. When you take your brokenness, right? And I always said that my accident was the best day of my life.
Do you really believe that?
Oh, the best. I get emotional. My loss was actually my gain. I lost half my leg. I found Jesus. I sat there, and all of a sudden, even my friend Jason Marcel, who's a very good friend of mine, very successful. You know Jason, right?
I do.
And Jason, man, like he reminds you that, Shawnie, your story, your life is meaningful. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and like, no, it is, Shawnie. So, I don't know, for me, like, I lost half my leg. I found Jesus. But I'm realizing 34 years later is that my message can help, serve, and save people. And my girlfriend says, Shawnie, here I am at going 35 years. It's going to be 35 years this December 16th. 35 years of accident. And that's 35 years that I wasn't impactful because of my belief system, that I wasn't good enough. My story's not big enough. And I'm realizing, you know what? My story is big enough. It is important. It changed lives.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, and so that's why your environment, the people you're around, it's, as you well know, it's your energy,
Yes.
like I said, and so that's why I tell people that I love you.
You do.
You can't love me now. Listen, I love you, man. I met these 4 people here, right? And I can tell they're amazing people. Even you kind of spoke about them, behind closed doors. Amazing human beings, And all of a sudden, and we're all amazing. We're all broken, right? Mm-hmm. We're all trying to get to the same. I say we're all bozos on this bus, trying to get the same place, But that's why we need to lift each other up. Admire that you're important, that you're powerful, This is for you.
Okay. And what is this? Like a business card? Oh, you told me, but you told me about this.
Yes. And so my thing is that we are disciples of the world, I believe. We are here to remind people that they're important, that you matter, And all of a sudden, but what it is, we all got junk, We all got junk, man. Like I said, that's why we got to be sensitive. We have no clue what people are going through. You look at Robin Williams,
Wow.
That guy was, his story.
Wow, yeah.
It shows you that is the true testament of what the world can do to you, and why you're not enough.
I'm going back to what you said about it being the best day of your life. Lately I've been trying to work through this in my head, so maybe you can help me with this. We're live, kind of a live session right here, okay? I've asked people on this show a number of times, and there's always a defining moment, it seems like, in somebody's life, whether it be, in your case, it's very simple. You lost your leg at 16 years old. For other individuals, it might be a divorce, or they went off to war, or they came back from war, or there's some moment in their life they look back on as being a shifting moment in their life. If you ask them if they're happy that moment happened to them, they'll say, yes, it was the best day. It gave me a lot. But then you ask this question: would you want to let it happen? Would you want it to happen again? Would you want to go to war again? Would you want to lose your leg again? Would you want to go through a divorce again? And nope, I don't want to go through it again. And I'm really curious why that is. Why is it that the thing that we oftentimes think is the best thing that happened to us, we wouldn't want to have happen again? And I haven't wrapped my head around this one, Shawnie, because I'm still trying to figure that question out. I look back in my life, on a suicide attempt that I had in 2017 as being the defining moment that changed my life, and being Baker acted and doing that. Great. Changed my life. Good. Would I want to go through that one more time? No. And I just wonder, why is that?
Well, for me, I just know I look at the trajectory of growing up, of addiction and drugs and poverty, and that's, like the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
It's generational, And I think because, I got in my accident, I lost half my leg, and all the people around me love on me. To this day, I am beyond loved. When I get a new girlfriend, anxiety, they're like, take care of Shawnie, take care of Shawnie. They're like, what, the shoots? Like, take care of me, I'm the woman, But going back to being suicide, is I cut my wrist one time over a girl.
Yeah.
And I remember I was so mad, heart was broken. She kissed another guy. I was in high school, and all of a sudden she called an ambulance. They came, they put me in the back of the ambulance, took me to South Middle Hospital. I'm sitting there waiting. All of a sudden, I'll walk on in, and the doctor walks on in. I didn't expect I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm here to take care of you. I'm like, thank you. He's like, what happened to your leg? So I got a car accident back in 1989. Oh. He's like, Halifax Hospital. Halifax, that's where I'm from. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, who's your doctor? Is Dr. Williamson? Dr. Williamson? Like, oh, Dr. Williamson? Hold on. Did you surf and wrestle? Yes, sir. He's like, oh my God. I was one of the guys when they airlifted you into the hospital. I was on the trauma unit. I remember you. I remember you gave you a very slim chance to live. I'm like, yeah, 5%. Like, yeah, I remember that. I remember you. I'd go to our break room, and Dr. Williamson always have these pictures of you surfing or you wrestling or doing these things, you know. I'm like, yeah. It's like, oh my God, what year was that? Back 1989. I was like, well, last time your parents walked into the hospital, they're not gonna live and die for the past 28 days, right? I'm like, yes, sir. She goes, man, she got a question. Why would you do that to me again? I'm like, wow, and dagger. And he's like, Shawnie, first of all, there's no woman worth taking life over. I'm like, wow. So I remember going to get Baker acted.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I'm in these padded rooms, shoelaces off, looking around. And all of a sudden, I'm looking, I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know, because one emotion that, and so, then my girlfriend at the time I called her up. She started yelling at me, what the frick, you know? I'm like, be more sensitive, you know? You're the one I kiss. And so I remember that, those words that the doctor gave me, Shawnie, you are worth more, and there's no girl worth taking life over, you know. And consider one doctor coming down to help out, and you know, in Longwood,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy, right? So that's why I think that God's timing is always perfect. I would change nothing. You know why? I got to meet some amazing people. I got to see that I am lovable and that I matter. I got to see that that through my story, I can be an advocate. Through my life, I can be an example. And through my life, I can show people to love because I was loved. And that's the biggest thing that as I get older, I realize that my girlfriend always says, you're Jesus' favorite, you're Jesus' favorite human being, you know? And so to me, I just want to illuminate love to people, remind them they're amazing, high five them, and also remind them they matter, you know. And there's just that what you're going through, God will pull you through it, or He's putting through right now as we speak, you know. So
I think it's beautiful. That's a good place to end it right there. You matter. I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing right here. The organization that you're starting right here is the Get Up Movement. Your local alarm dealer, Shawnie Whitaker, one leg up on the bad guy. What you've done there, man, you've really done a lot of great stuff. And start receiving, stop giving so much. I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Shawnie, you've been a wonderful individual to get to know over the years. Our mutual friend, Sally Vance, introduced us years back. And what you've been able to accomplish in the past couple of years is nothing short of incredible. And you're right. You care about people genuinely every room that you walk into. Right. And it's a real pleasure to be able to see that. It's not manufactured. It's completely genuine. Very cool, man.
Right. And you know what the greatest thing about it is? Through my accident, 34 years later now, I'm an adaptive professional surfer. He's got good at what, huh? And also all my friends like, what the freak? We all be professional surfers, and here Shawnie is at 50 years of age, surfing the world from Australia to California, Costa Rica, and that's where you realize that God's timing is perfect. Here we are, 34 years later, I'm traveling countries throughout the whole world, surfing with amazing people, because of my accident. So now, without my accident, I would not be a professional surfer. And now with my accident, I'm a professional, adaptive American surfer for Team USA. So if that don't remind you that God's time is perfect, God's time is perfect, and do that, you matter.
That's a good way to put it right there. Add professional surfer onto that, okay? So we'll add that to the list of things that you're doing over there. Shawnie Whitaker, thank you so much for stopping by, buddy.
Patrick, man, I love you, kid. You're awesome.
Great stuff, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.